We're all high performers. So the lessons of my high performance in sport carry across into life.
Today's interview is with Bill Beswick, one of the most highly decorated sports coaches in the UK, from coaching teams like Manchester United football team, England football team, England basketball team. He's coached Olympic gold medalists, and he takes a sports psychologist look. He's just released his new book. Before that, I just wanted to say a massive shout out to mulliganrivers.com, the sponsor of the video, where you can now buy the Not a Journal from mulliganrivers.com. It's linked down below. All of that helps support these projects. Before that, let's jump into this interview with Bill Beswick.
Well, my name is Bill Beswick. I'm an applied sports psychologist, which means that I work with athletes, teams and coaches to improve their performance by helping them overcome mental and emotional barriers to performance.
Early days for yourself, we have a large American audience. How would you describe your childhood, the area that you grew up in?
Well, very working class, Manchester man, youngest of a family of 6, limited circumstances, but had 2 great breaks which changed my life. One was I passed the 11 plus from my primary school to go to grammar school. Grammar school brought me very much a middle class sort of upbringing. And the second one was at the age of 14, I joined the Manchester YMCA, which introduced me to a lot of people who'd been educated, experienced, and I learned so much from them. So I had a limited home environment, but a very much better environment outside the home. When I joined Manchester YMCA, they have 56 sports there over 6 floors. And I went as a 14-year-old, small, thin, with a plastic bag with some kit in, and walked around all 56 sports and nobody spoke to me. And I didn't know what to do, and I was in the gymnasium and there was basketball practice. And the Polish coach of the team came over to me and said, "Do you want to join in?" And those words have created my life. I can't think about how important those words are to me. And that's been my motto in life, to say that to other people as I've gone through life. Do you want to join in? And he kickstart, which was an amazing career.
Amazing. So did you start playing at a high level with basketball? Or?
I was very limited as a player, I'm afraid. I dreamed about playing at a high level. I loved the sport. I still love the sport. But it became clear to me that my physique wasn't matched for the game. So I made an early transition into coaching and found, to my delight, that I loved coaching.
I'd love to know what different sports have you worked in as well, like just give us a list. I know you said a lot earlier, but...
Many different sports, from equestrian to American football to basketball to netball to you name it. Because I've always believed that some of the performance issues that I deal with cross all sports, and of course cross business and education as well. Because the human being, when called upon to perform something that's challenging, faces all the mental and emotional barriers that I was talking about before. So I think my work applies across all aspects of performance.
What's your thoughts on children and especially young adults nowadays getting involved in a sport and maintaining that?
I think it's so important. I think it's so important. It's an activity which demands a level of commitment, a level of courage, focus, concentration, determination, resilience. And I think a lot of the present generation of young people have had life a little bit easy. They've been brought up in reasonably good circumstances by parents who really love them too much, done too much for them. And so they're not very resourceful as a generation. But you step into the world of sport and you've got to face up to some realities. And I think sport can help society by teaching children all those great qualities.
What are those lessons that you learn when you join in sport? And
well, the first thing is commitment. when you join a team, you're committed. And then the second thing is to get on with other people. You've got to move from me to we. You've got to stop being selfish and start being selfless. You've got to pass the ball to the person in the best position, or they will tell you you should pass the ball to the person in the best position. And then you've got to learn to have self-belief, and when you're playing in the arena, stepping up in the arena, you've got to take responsibility for your actions. You've got to have resilience when you get beaten or get dropped from the team. You've got to bounce back. So a lot of great human qualities which will help them throughout life are embedded in the learning of sport.
What was that moment of transition from playing to coaching? What was the biggest attraction about getting into the coaching side of things?
Well, to be honest, it was determined by my fellow players. They decided I'd be better as a coach than a player. So, okay. But the transition for me was fairly easy. I think I've got a teacher type personality. I love to share. I love to share knowledge, to share information, see people do better. So I'm very much a people person. So coaching fitted my natural instincts, my normal personality. And of course there was nowhere I could go for advice at that time in this country. There was no coaching profession. So information from America was very limited at the time. So I had to really write my own script. But I loved it. I loved it. And the players responded really well. In fact, my first team, my very first team, still meets every year as a reunion. And that's lovely. That's about the good things in human beings. Coaching and psychology are two of the things you can never master. You can never master them. Coaching evolves all the time. And psychology is so deep, so wide, that I feel as though I've only touched the surface. And there's so much more, which is why at my age I'm still working, because I'm actually interested in what I'm finding out.
How would you describe sports psychology to somebody who's never heard of it before?
Well, it's about maximizing on yourself. It's about dealing with your own doubts, fears and anxieties, about letting the positive you defeat the negative you. Because really psychology is a battle of you versus you. We think the opposition's over there in the other dressing room, but actually it's in here. Who am I going to be today? Am I going to be my best self or my weaker self? So a lot of my psychology with teams and athletes and coaches comes down to fighter versus victim. We have a choice. There's a good story. Clint Eastwood was playing golf, and his partner, this last year, his partner said, "Clint, how old are you?" He said, 88. He said, 88 on Monday. And his partner said, "Wow, that's wonderful. What are you doing?" He said, "I'm starting a new movie." He said, "How do you do it?" He said, "I wake up every morning and don't let the old man in." And that's life. We wake up every morning and make a decision who we're going to be. I've got Parkinson's disease, so getting up in the morning is not so easy for me. Getting dressed is not so easy. I have to make a decision. Am I going to be a fighter today, or am I going to be a victim? And that's what fascinates me with sports psychology. And I suppose, in a nutshell, sports psychology is deciding whether you're going to be a fighter or a victim. I tend to ask athletes 3 questions when they come to see me, and I've had a lot of distinguished athletes come to see me over the years. And my 3 questions are, what do you want? How badly do you want it? And how much are you willing to suffer? And very often, everything revolves around the first question, what do you want? Because a lot of people are unclear what they want from life. They don't sit down and think through. We are writing our own life story every day, and yet we don't think about it. Who do we want to be? Where do we want to live? What life do we want to lead? When we've finished our life, come to the end of our life and look back, what do we want to say that we've done? So, what do you want is a very powerful question. And then if an athlete says, I want to be the best, Bill, fine. How badly do you want it? Because you've got to pay a price to be the best. The best pay a big price. You've got to work harder, you've got to commit more, you've got to take more responsibility, you've got to deal with more ups and downs. And if we can deal with that question, how much are you willing to suffer? Because I work with gold medal champions and they suffer every day. They work enormously hard. They sacrifice enormous things in order to get that success. My latest book takes 20 lessons from sport where I've dealt with somebody in sport, some quite famous athletes, but they've got a mental and emotional problem getting in the way of their performance. And I explain how together we dealt with it, overcame it, and they went on to become what they were capable of. But then I draw it parallels to everybody. I mean, in a sense, we're all high performers. We all step up every day to earn a living, to maintain relationships, to take the responsibility of owning property, to raise children. We're all high performers. So the lessons of my high performers in sport carry across into life.
And there you go. I hope you made it this far, because the knowledge and wisdom that Bill has is worth listening to. So often I think we're looking for shortcuts and short piece of information that can help us get to somewhere. And sometimes that's not the case. It requires a large body of information. And Bill has it all. And his website, his book is all linked down below. I recommend go following him, go buying the book, all that kind of stuff. Also, there's a main piece on mulliganbrothers.com that's a more condensed version. And also today's video was sponsored by mulliganbrothers.com, where you can buy the Not a Journal, the Inspire Change t-shirts. There's a link in the description to mulliganbrothers.com. And that basically helps us take our film crew, take myself, be able to go interview Bill and create these projects with our team of editors. And yeah, thank you so much for all the support we've been having so far. It has been amazing. Go follow me on Instagram at Jordan Mulligan Brother, where you can see what I get up to on a day-to-day basis. Guys, thank you for watching. Go share the message. Have a blessed and productive day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.